Alright, welcome to the first module for the Transformation Challenge. Hopefully you all are as excited about the challenge as I am. The first thing I decided to go over for this is going to be carbohydrates because they're so prominently featured in the meal plan that comes along with it. So we're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly of carbohydrates. So first, the good. Carbohydrates are a great source of energy. Your body will take them for energy before just about anything else. If you're eating protein and fat, it's always going to turn the carbohydrates into energy first. All carbohydrates are some form of sugar. There's a couple different types of sugar: glucose, fructose. Some are simpler forms of sugar, just one molecule, whereas others are big long chains. And it makes a difference in the way your body treats them, how quickly it digests them, and things like that. But all of them are some form of sugar, which is why your body likes them so much for energy. If you've heard of your blood sugar, that's basically your blood glucose level. It's a measure of how much energy you have because all of the energy that's running around in your bloodstream is a form of sugar. That's why it's glucose. It's one of those forms of sugar. So the more carbohydrates you tend to eat, the higher your blood sugar is going to be. Carbohydrates are also the quickest source of energy. This is really good, especially if you're in athletics or anything. It's going to turn any kind of carbohydrate you eat into energy very quickly. There's a very short delay from when you eat the food from when it becomes available, at least part of it in some form as an energy source. Another great thing about carbohydrates is that there's a great variety in the types of them. There is fibers, both soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber is digestible. Insoluble is basically roughage. It just passes through you. There's refined and unrefined carbohydrates, and then those complex and simple carbs that we were talking about earlier. We'll go over those a little bit more in a second. So another good thing, carbohydrates are an excellent fuel for any kind of workout. Your body loves them for energy. Complex carbs provide a great sustained fuel source, while making you feel full because of that big long chain. Whoops, went forward a little bit. But that big long chain of carbs, it takes time to break that down. And so it gives you a nice kind of continuous release of energy, whereas the simple carbs are pretty much just a quick shot and then they're done. So that complex carbs are a really good source of energy over a long period of time. Some of the bad things about carbs is that they are a great source of energy, and the problem with having too much energy is that your body will store that as fat. So if you give yourself too much energy, your body very easily turns that into fat. When you have too much blood sugar, that glucose, that especially simple carbs, anything white, processed, refined, is a simple carb, and your body turns it into energy very, very quickly. And when your blood sugar gets too high, your body releases insulin, which causes your cells to store that excess sugar, that excess glucose you have floating around in your blood as fat. Another ugly thing about carbs, sugar and refined carbs, very, very simple, less than 30 minutes after you eat them. Any of that refined, the white bread, the white sugar, just table sugar, candy bars, things like that, less than 30 minutes after you eat them, they're burned up, your body's turned them into energy, and if you're not using that energy, it's stored all of the excess as fat. So unless you're running a marathon or you've got a really physical job or something, you're probably going to be storing a lot of carbohydrates as fat if you're eating mostly simple and refined carbs. There is no real long-term sustained energy in those simple refined carbs, and they provide almost no feeling of fullness. So right after about those 30 minutes, you're going to feel full for about those 30 minutes that it's taking to digest, but after that, you're going to be hungry again. So, and if you swing too much the other way and you completely cut carbs out of your diet, that is your body's primary energy source. And so when you cut carbs out, it thinks you're starving. And your body is really good at keeping you alive. So when it thinks you're starving, it's going to lower your metabolism, which means that you, even eating the same amount of food, you're not going to lose weight when you would normally. And in an extreme case, it can even actually use your muscles for fuel if it's completely deprived of carbohydrates. There is some light at the end of the tunnel, however. Carbohydrates are a primary fuel source for your body, so you need some of them. It's not something you want to completely cut out. That's why if you're looking at the meal plan, we do have one no-carb day, but it's only one day. and the rest of the days you focus on getting those complex carbs. And complex carbs are a lot more common than you might think. Any kind of wheat bread, potatoes, fruits are always really good sources of those complex carbs. They are a little bit more work to prepare sometimes than the easy processed, candy bars, white bread, Twinkies. Might sound good, but not the thing you want to make your diet of primarily. That lowered metabolism that we're talking about takes a while to kick in, which is why you only have one no-carb day in the meal plan. It takes several days at least for your body to figure out that you're not giving it any carbs. So by cycling through that, you kind of get the same effect, that good weight loss of having no carbs, while not lowering your metabolism and sabotaging your long-term efforts. So as you can see, carbs are necessary. It is important to have them in your diet. Try to make sure it's the right ones. Avoid the simple processed carbs and go for the complex, unrefined carbs as much as possible. Everything in moderation. Just make sure you're getting the right kinds of carbs. If you've got that meal plan, follow it as closely as you can. Some of the reasons it's set up the way it is explained there, and I hopefully helped you understand a little bit more of how your body deals with carbs. If you have any questions about this, feel free to comment below. Send me an email, whatever. And hopefully you got something out of this, and we'll see you in week 2.